Heyo, my name is Sarah and I'm back. Yes, I decided to take myself a little break, just catch up on a few things and all that, but I am back with a book review, people, and that book is Once Upon a K-Prom by Kato. Yes, I was definitely going to read this book. Non-spoilers, I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The idea, the game of the idea is basically in the name of the book, people. Yes, it felt like your typical K-drama that you just put on and you just ate it and you're like, oh, I can't believe I binge watched that. So yes, we have a K-drama in book form, and it takes place in a town outside of Chicago, and our main characters are Elena and Robbie, who were childhood best friends, but then Robbie had to move back to Seoul, and as time went on, he became a K-pop star in a band. Basically, this world's version of BTS, or what the kids like these days, Stray Kids, X1. Then Elena grew up on her life, on her own, just doing her own thing. It's high school, it's prom season, and then one day, out of the blue, literally, Robbie shows up and asks her for prom. And shenanigans ensue. So yeah, all in all, I really did enjoy this book. It was a quick, fun read. This is basically a K-drama that I would see and watch because it just checked off all the boxes. I kind of wished it was a little bit more, because again, it's like a short book. It's a short, fast read for people that enjoy this kind of things, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of wish we saw a little bit more, especially with the band members, because we saw the point of view mostly through Elena, a couple of chapters through Robbie, see what's going on with him, especially with his manager while they're here, because they're there for a big concert called K-Fest. But again, we only got like sneak peeks behind the scenes with him, so I kind of wish I saw more of that. Elena, she was an interesting character. I really found her, being around her interesting, but she seems like the friend I would have if I was still in the same same club, a couple of classrooms, common interests here and there, but yeah, she was okay as a character. Her whole thing revolved around this one thing that she wanted to save, and I like that, but I wish I could have seen more of her as a character. Robbie, again, I wish we had more chapters of him, because he had an interesting thing going with while he was here in town before K-Fest. And it would just be nice to see how he was, not with just Elena, but with also the bandmates, especially, I would say, maybe his cousin, who is the head member of the band. And I guess maybe more time with Elena and Robbie, because it did feel slightly a little fast, but then again, I think it's that previous building that they had as childhood best friends that played into effect how their relationship kind of went up in a way. And it's like, okay, cool, but I just felt like maybe a few more chapters and more split dual POVs could have done like a whole lot more. But again, if this was a K-drama, I would say maybe for this short of a book, I'd say 12, 13 episodes, which I would binge in one sitting, because again, this is the kind of stuff I really like watching. Childhood friends, one goes away, the other has to deal with life on her own without her BFF. It's now high school, she's trying to do things, girls are being mean to her because she doesn't want to do prom, but she's trying to do it for actually good reason. And then K-pop star, who's #1 on the charts with this band, shows up out of the blue, asks her for prom, and just things happen. I would watch it. I enjoyed the book. I had some things, again, I noted that could, maybe helped it a little bit more, but I enjoyed it. I liked the concept. I had my giggling moments. I had my plot twist moment. And again, if this was a K-drama, I would watch it. And yeah, Once Upon a K-Prom by Kato. 3 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers. Shoo. Spoilers. So like I said, our main character, her name is Elena Sue, and she and her best friend Josie and Max are part of this committee trying to do a good cause for the community. They're trying to save the community center. In other words, they're trying to get enough money to make them to the next monthly budget meeting, and they decide to put the table out in the cafeteria. Kids have spare change, anything will help, 50 cents, $1, please help. But it's also the same time when they have the booths out for prom. I never went to my prom. I had no interest. I'm a little bit like Elena and Josie. But I would have helped them because, again, good cause. And, okay, sure, kids that are coming with their parents' monies and it has like a lot. Y'all can't spare $5 for the fishbowl. Let's get it go to try to help something that's literally helping people when they need it, because we do meet characters at the center who are parents and they leave their kids there because they have like reliable babysitting over there. They have good entertainment and activities for the children. They're helping out. And these kids want to spend at least like $1,000 or $2,000 on prom. People. Elena also just doesn't have interest in prom because she's had 3 older sisters that had heartbreaks, and the mom thought they were just being over dramatic, and she remembered back then when Robbie was still in town that they made a promise that he would come and take her to prom. So, you know, that kind of also weighing on her mind. But then again, she's like, she knows that he's like a big K-pop star, and people just didn't believe her and they thought she was making things up when she was younger, saying that, you know, they're still friends, but he kind of lost contact with her. I kind of saw this coming because I kind of figured that, you know, as a trainee and rising in the industry, you know, take away cell phones. But I guess that just didn't cross her mind, or did, and she just kind of thought negatively about that. Elena has that in a way because she had 3 older sisters that kind of lost touch with her because they just wanted to get out of the house and be done with their parents, kind of like, you know, just to live their lives. And then Robbie leaves as well, so she kind of has this thing where she feels people are just leaving her. So that kind of comes up as well in the book for her every now and again. You have your typical mean cheerleader girls that think Elena's just being anti-prom. They're like, no, we're just trying to do something good for society. And so Josie, she's like, you know what, girl, I got you. She leaves, comes back, and Elena's like, why do you have a mega horn? It's like, I had it for like the last ride. Like, here. Elena's not very good doing speeches, but she gives it a shot after Josie kind of pushes her up on the table. She kind of does it. Some people are like, yeah, but then she kind of makes one little error and people are looks away. So she kind of just like fails at giving the speech. And it doesn't help the fact that her twin brother, that she thinks is the apple in her parents' eye, Ethan, is in the line getting prom tickets, and she's like, hello, support, and he's like, but I want to go to prom, I need to get tickets. So I was like, oh. And I like how things kind of turn with Elena and Ethan, which I'll get onto later. We get a little bit bad news because Elena does show up at the center. We do meet some characters there, and we also see that there's a child that has like a really good relationship with Elena named Jackson. She hands it to the lady in charge, Cora, who the money that she collected, you know, just a few hundred or so, that which would help. But we also find out that we're like kind of in the red in funding, so we don't know if we can make it to the next budget meeting. So bad news. Another thing, another icing on the cake, is that when Elena gets home, because her parents keep forgetting that she does community service at the community center, and they thought it was just a thing for her class, like an elective that she had to do. And it's like, no, y'all know, I keep reminding y'all every Wednesday I go to the center, and the mom keeps you know, in the wind in her mind, and she keeps confusing her daughter with her other 3 daughters that are no longer in the house. And so that also gives like a feeling of invisibility to Elena, because not even her own mom can like remember which child this one is, unless it's Ethan, because we also get that in the hallway, you know, where you keep your family photos, and like, you know, when people walk in, you have to have pictures of your kids. So a lot of Ethan, graduation pictures of the firstborn daughters, and Elena's like old 8-year-old photo. So it's like not helping. And for the cherry on this cake is Elena's kind of getting it in with her mom, which her mom is like easily blowing off as, you know, just chitter chatter. And the doorbell rings and she thinks it's like the mailman, so she's going over, she opens the door, and it's Robbie. At first I thought incognito, but no, he's in his full K-idol get up with his pink hair, his outfits, and that charming smile. Basically looking like this at her doorstep, like at 7 at night. And I was like, this could go good or this could go bad. Let me go get the popcorn and see which way. And of course he started to ask her for prom. Only thing is, we see a camera behind him, and she's like, huh? And that's when he's like, oh yeah, we're doing this filming thing as well. It's like one of those where that you see on the YouTube or stuff whenever, you know, the K-pop band members are out doing their, you know, day-to-day life kind of thing, and the camera just follows around. I enjoy those. Those are fun to watch. But that's what he says they're practically doing, and he asks her again with his all Oran high school charm, like, will you go to prom with me? And she closes the door because, again, she feels a little embarrassed, a little shell-shocked. This kind of was out of the blue, and you also have this camera here in this persona, so it's kind of like overwhelming, so she just closes the door. Understandable. But this is also where we get like the first POV from Robbie, and I was like, let me give you a hug, sweetie, because he panicked. Okay, he was in the industry since he was like 11 or 12, so he hasn't had that time to actually socialize and grow up as a person emotionally, like, you know, connect with people outside of the industry, or past his bandmates or his cousin who is the head of the band. And so he was a little nervous. He panicked, understandably, and you know, when people panic, they do things. Me, random facts. People get a good laugh at that. But he just switched to that idol persona, and it was kind of fake. But again, it's a default system, and Elena didn't like that. So, you know, slammed the door and all that stuff, and you know, just cut the camera. And we get his manager, Hanbin, who's there, and he was like supervising. That's like, thank God, at least an adult figure's around. We get in the van with Hanbin, and they're for support is Jongdae, who is again the cousin, and they're like, so how'd it go? And he was like, she slammed the door in my face. Like, what do you think has happened? And it's like, I think it's a little over the top because Elena doesn't like that things. At least he remembers what Elena is like as a person. She doesn't like big, grand gestures. And he's there to actually keep his promise to go to prom with her. And then Hanbin's like, you know, I've done my research. I've seen that girls like these things called promposals. And Jongdae's like, yeah, we will do that because first of all, we need the fuse and all that stuff. And maybe this is a good way to woo her. So it's like, y'all are not the best wingmen, because even Robbie's like, no, maybe something small, and they're like, no, we've done the research, we've seen what the girls these days like. Like, you just researched it on the interwebs. And they're like, yeah, but trust us, we got you. It's like, oh dear, this can go one way. And it was like, y'all two are fired as wingmen. I'm pretty sure Hanbin is a good manager and Jongdae is a good cousin, family mate, bandmate, band leader, but not wingmen. We get what I feared, and that is next day, complete thing for the promposal. Not the simple, you know, show up with the balloons and have your mates just like, you know, do some kind of little fun little thing so the guy could get like a little up and ask her for prom. No, Elena and Josie show up to school. There's balloons everywhere the moment they walk into the hallway, and Ethan's standing in front of her locker is like, oh, problem? Question mark? And she looks and there's like a big bunch of balloons in front of her locker. And they lead to a pathway. And she's like, the school courtyard. Something like that. And there's like a huge archway of balloons. And like formation. Some just couldn't make it. And there's Robbie with a guitar, mic up, and a bouquet of big flowers that he gives to Elena. And he sings her a song. And everyone's filming this. And then he asks her for prom. And this time it's Elena that panics. Understandably. And it's one of those mute kind of moments where you're just too shocked to talk or speak or utter a word. And of course, flight kicks in. She runs into one of the cheerleader bullies. Roses explode from the bouquet, and she takes off to the bathroom. And of course, Josie finds her, and she's like, so how bad is it? Well, Robbie left, and it could have been worse. I mean, everyone's having fun, kick out the girl that you ran into. But it's like, Hanbin, Jongdae, y'all are fired as wingmen. Managed to make it through the rest of the week at school. Okay, still a little awkward because, you know, making the rounds on the interwebs. And Elena goes to the mall to get a book for Jackson for his little birthday because he likes reading. Cute. And again, K-drama moment. Like, you would think that someone would research, I'm just going with that, to how to blend into society, because Elena goes and gets her book. She's in the line. She knows this weird shitty guy with the hood up, big glasses, cap, just being all weird and stuff. And she's like, That's not suspicious at all. And she's like walking, and the guy's like, you know, walking behind her. She's like walks, and he panic walks behind her, and she tries to get into the center of the mall, like elevator area, and she sees it's Robbie following her. It's like, what are you doing? He's like, I am in disguise. Like, you look like an idiot. But this is all I could get at the moment. And your mom said you were here. It's like, oh, so that's why she texted me wanting to know my location. Mother! But yeah, he's there to apologize. Like, I didn't want to do it, but Hanbin convinced me, so did Jongdae, that, you know, everyone likes prom proposals. Like, well, I don't. I know, I told them that, but they suggested, they insisted. It's like, okay, well, you apologize. Goodbye. No, I want to talk more. So, you know, they kind of chalk in the mall because they're also on the elevator. Very long elevator, I must say. What kind of mall is this? And Robbie literally just wants to get back in contact with Elena, you know, rekindle their friendship in a way, especially prom, because he did say, I promised you as a kid, and I kind of intend to keep that promise. Like, well, we were like 10 or whatever when we made that promise. Yeah, but I still want to keep it because we really thought it was like a big deal, and I just want to honor that promise. And besides, you said promises were important and we cannot break them. And she's like, oh. And he gives her like 3 wishes kind of thing, you know, within the budget, within something reasonable, because she had that glint in her eye. And he's like, let me make an adjustment to that contract. We run into some of the cheerleaders, Caroline and Felicity. Felicity used to be a best friend of Elena, but something happened where they're no longer best friends. And Caroline's just a big old meanie. And so they had a little confrontation while Robbie was on the phone with Hanbin, and so Elena uses one of her first wishes, and that's to go to the center's place where she feels safe. And that's where Robbie gets to meet some of the kids, some of the co-workers, and some of them are like, you look familiar. And that idea is like, light bulb. And Elena's like, yeah, by the way, Jackson. And we find out that Robbie's really good with kids. So in a way, this is a good place for them to deflate, be at ease, and just have a little fun, and a good way for them to reconnect. Also for Robbie just to be himself, be a kid in a way. Then it doesn't help the fact that the press showed up, because, you know, as they do, and Hanbin does get Robbie out. But it's one of those things where he also kind of panics when Elena asks him, did you say, or did Hanbin? And I really, really doubt that this was either their deal, so someone just must have seen them, like, called it a tip. So very family rivalry, because when Elena's aunt shows up, the mom's like, okay, we gotta go, your aunt's home. So we gotta go to your grandparents and be like, hey, what's up? And Elena and Ethan are like not having it. Neither is the dad, but they're like, fine, we'll do it, we'll go. Because they only go to like the grandparents like once a month. Okay, at least they still keep in touch with the grandparents. But they're like, fine, we gotta go. And here they are where it becomes mother versus aunt in the competition, the bragging right competition. It's like, oh, family, just okay. I gotta go help the grandparents in the kitchen, make the food, get the table ready and stuff. Because Elena's basically delegated to helping and everything. She also is delegated to cleaning up the table. The one thing that the mom can pull over the aunt, though, is that she's bragging that her daughter was asked to prom by the big famous member of society, and whose origins started here in our small little town outside of Chicago, was Robbie. And even the aunt is like slightly impressed, and that's when she actually starts offering to Elena's like, hey, my door's open if you want to come over to Seoul for, you know, like the summer, kind of like a little summer part-time gig, and just to get around the city, see the country and all that stuff. And Elena's like actually beaming, like, yeah. But then the mom's like, well, she can still wait until, you know, her sisters went over when they were much older. And that kind of deflates, but that kind of comes back up again every now and again of her possibly going to Seoul for the summer. While Elena is cleaning, we see a little bit words of wisdom from Ethan, because again, this is where I kind of see the divide trying to be crossed by the twins, especially Ethan, where he actually gives her word advice. And maybe you should just like go talk to Robbie, because he's kind of being nice in a genuine way, and Elena's thinking, you know, can I trust this or something? Because again, he's the apple in his parents' eye. She was always pushed to the side. But in a way, I can kind of see it, Ethan being suffocated by that, and he just wants to somehow connect with Elena, but he just doesn't know how to outright say it. And this is one of the ways how he kind of pushed her. He's like, well, maybe if you found out where he was, you could probably go and say hi and talk to him about what happened last night. So, well, how I know? It's like, Elena, he's famous. Check the social medias. Which she does. And she goes to find where the bandit is. And apparently they're in town practicing rehearsals before they gotta go to the city for K-Fest. And it's kind of funny. It's like one of those cute, funny moments that even Robbie had to kick out because she showed up there. There's fans outside waiting because, of course, social medias. And she goes around the back because she knows the area and the place where they're practicing. And she's thinking she can go in through the back where no one knows. And there's a security guard there. He's like, I'm just here to see your friends. Like, yeah, go over with your friends to wait for your other friends. And she tries to... And the guy's like, I gotcha. And she's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I see a friend. And Robbie's like, wow, I wish I had a camera. And she's like, Robbie. And he's like, dude, I got her. She's my friend, actually. And she's there. It's like, I apologize for being a little mean to you yesterday about the paparazzi and all. So it's like, cool, I got it. Let's just come in and talk. And they do have a talk. And that's when Elena meets the rest of the band, which I enjoy the book cover for because this kind of helped out. Because, you see, we have some of the bandmates here by their band names. So we got Jongdae, who is JD. We got Rob, who's Robbie. Then we got Moon, Jay, and June. And we got this cute little picture. So I really like this. This was cute. The bandmates are there to practice and shoot a music video. Just like a quick thing to get out before K-Fest. Surprise the fans. And Elena's there standing next to Hanbin. He's like, just stay where I can see you kind of thing. He's like really focused and all that stuff. This guy needs a vacation. And everything's going good. The first warm-up, perfect. They just got to do it one more time for the filming. And we're done for the day. We can wrap things up, go to the hotel, chill. That kind of thing. Doesn't help that the girl that they had to do the scene, like a quick walk, twirl, spin, walk off kind of thing, twisted her ankle. And everyone's like, okay, we can just get one of the people, one of the staffers to help us with it because that's all they got to do. Walk, twirl, spin, walk off. And then it was, I believe, Moon, who looked at Elena. Hey, Elena, we need your help. And she's like, huh? And Robbie's like, what? And I'm like, run! Things actually go pretty well. Oh, and it even has a little fun doing it. Again, all she had to do is walk, twirl, spin, and walk off. And the bandmates, they're having fun with that. I was like, I think they could have been like genuinely good friends, which is why I really wish we had more chapters from POV of Robbie to see more of the bandmates. But the filming goes well, and even Hanbin's like impressed. And Robbie's talking with Elena. That's where she decides to use one of her second wishes because again, centers in the red. Joe, she's like, maybe he could just like talk to him, see if he can do anything. I'm not cool. All that stuff. And even Ethan, when he was like talking with Elena, he also hinted, well, maybe he could just like talk to him. It's like, just talk. And so she tries to, say use a wish. And she asks Robbie maybe they can do a pop-up concert for the center. It's like, actually Hanbin kind of wants us to do good press. I can actually float this idea by him. We do have enough time before K-Fest. So I actually think we can maybe pull this off. Let me just talk to him. Which is a green light because Hanbin's like, yes! And it's like, everyone's cool with that. I thought it would be one of those maybe because I'm a star now. She might use this as an advantage, but no, Robbie actually spent time at the center, which I really liked. It establishes that he cares for the center, and they make it happen, which is like cool. It actually works out for both of them. It's like a good thing for both Robbie and Elena. Back at the school, we find out through Caroline and Felicity, who Caroline accuses Elena over something that she had no control of, and Caroline knows that, and she just lashes out, which Josie fights back. She's like, cat fight. And it turns out that there was a flooding at the hotel where the prom was going to be hosted. And again, freak accident, literally. And Caroline just wanted to take her anger out. Principal stopped that. Called all three girls into the office, and Elena's like, I didn't do anything. And Felicity's like, I was just standing on the side. But no. It was understandable. The principal's like, I'll just get Josie and Caroline their detention. We'll just settle things out. And Caroline's like, why me? And Josie's like, fine, I can do that in my sleep. But the principal asks for Felicity and Elena to stay by. And they said that the hotel gave them back their deposit, which was really, really nice. And they just needed a new place to hold the prom. And the principal thought maybe the gym, because I had my prom at gym. And Felicity's like, no offense, principal, but that was back then. But that's when the principal's like, yeah, but I was wondering, Elena, yes, I know they did those cool renovations at the center, so do you think you can possibly ask the ladies at the center if we can host the prom there? And Elena's thinking, oh my god, we're about to have that pop-up concert, we're gonna make a lot of money doing that, and the principal, if I can get them to agree to hold the prom there, we also get the deposit, which was like a lot of money. So we're like, oh my god, we might actually have a chance. So it's like, okay, cool. But then the principal's like, oh, by the way, Felicity and Caroline, who are like on the prom committee, you and Josie gotta help with that, delegate. And Felicity's like, fine. And Elena's like, cool, I can handle this as long as we can get the money for the deposit and just make sure the prom is okay and everyone's cool with that. By the way, we're all cool with that. We're setting up for the pop-up concert. Days are going by. We got busy things. We're doing both the concert and prepping for the prom. Busy schedule. And it's the night of the pop-up concert. Everyone's there. Everyone's yaying. Josie, Elena, and Matt are there. Have the tables out. Got the waters. Got the chips. Got the little flyers and all that stuff. And they have been promoting at the center. And when Elena goes into the back to talk to the guys and all that stuff, she sees Robbie's talking with the guest singer, who Elena's like, oh my god, but then she's like getting a little jelly, thinking, because she's hearing from the bandmates that like these are really good friends. Her name is Soo Yan, and she is the girl next door big time singer in Korea. And she's like getting a little jelly. I'm like, Elena, please don't. But then we find out with Elena that Soo Yan and Robbie, because the band and her basically did their debut at the same time, they are actually really, really good friends. And she is a really, really nice person. So her and Elena do kind of hit it off. The pop-up concert goes really, really well. We definitely made enough money. And we do eventually find out that we're good. We are set, especially past the date where we have the budget meeting. We will get what we need to help with the center, so yay! Elena and Josie get invited back to the hotel, which is like one of those fancy unique car key pass to get to the loft area hotel. And the bandmates Soo Yan and the girls, they have a nice little night. They're having dinner, they're playing charades. One of the guys teased Robbie to like sing a little song, and Elena's like really enjoying it. And that's where we find out that Jungdae and Soo Yan are secretly dating, and Jungdae does get a little defensive, but Soo Yan explains it to Elena, the fact that because she was young and signed the contract early before, blowing up and stuff, turns out the company she's working for has this clause saying you cannot date until 4 years have passed since you debut. And Elena's thinking, that's a little extreme. Like, Soo Yan's like, no, I've seen at least like 3 of my seniors get their contracts terminated because of this, so that's why Jungdae and I are trying to keep it under the wraps. Like, okay, cool, got that. Elena and Robbie do have a little heart-to-heart moment. She does accidentally find some music that he wrote, because he does want to be a songwriter, but the company's like thinking this is not your style, because that controlling the image kind of thing. But he does want to write this, and so he's just like, I'm just writing this just to, express how I'm feeling. And he once again asks Elena out for prom, and so far we've seen them having a good relationship, rebuilding that old friendship. It's like, yeah, I will go to prom with you, as friends, but she's secretly really, really happy. And so Robbie's like, cool, do I still bring you that Lego corsage and stuff? So when Elena and Josie leave, we have a moment with Robbie and Jungdae. He's saying like, you didn't have to be that hard on her. And he's like, I'm sorry, cuz I kind of just like freaked out for a moment, but I know you trust Elena, so I trust her. And then Robbie says, I asked her out for prom again. He's like, so what'd she say? And he said, yeah, we're gonna go as friends. And then Jungdae's like, cool, so we can move on with the plan. And I'm like, what? And this is where the twist happened that I did not expect, people, because turned out to help Jungdae and Soo Yan with their little dating. That's when Hanbin came up with an idea with the cousins, saying if we can make the band look dating presentable, maybe we can make this out work. So we had to pick a bandmate who wouldn't fall in love with a fake date idea. And that's when Jungdae mentioned Elena, and Robbie's like, yeah, we were friends, I promised her I'd take her to prom. And Hanbin's like, we're running with that. So without Elena knowing, they are fake dating, and in return, if this works out, Robbie can actually do a solo debut album, but he wants to write. And I'm like, oh, what? Of course, Robbie does not feel comfortable with this, but he wants to help his cousin. His cousin's still feeling a little icky about it, but he's like, if this works, we can actually have some freedom, because again, companies like we want to control this. Like, nope, if this is the only opportunity we can to actually try to do this on our own, we're going to try to do it. But Robbie's starting to have second doubts. We got the countdown to prom day because we finally have the funding for the center. We're done with the pop-up concert. During that time, Robbie does like a sneak out and he takes Elena to like a nature preserve, like or a national park, just to deflate, have like a little nice quiet moment. And it's one of those where if you saw in the scene, he's kind of talking about something, but he's meaning another thing. But Elena doesn't really get that, so she just thinks he's trying. She like, you know, just connect, vent, and she's cool with that. But it's his way of basically talking to himself, apologizing for what he wants to do, like keep the fake date thing. And there's like another time when they're back at the center, Robbie again did sneak out and they're just painting and all that stuff. And you see this kind of side to Elena where you kind of see through a little bit of the book where she kind of likes to control things. And she does make a joke, but it doesn't land well, and Robbie gets a little offended. He's got to go clean up and stuff. And Felicity's there, and she kind of says he probably hurt his feelings. And she's like, what are you talking about? It's like, this is the same thing we kind of did where we're no longer friends. She's like, well, you didn't want to be friends because you were Miss Popular and becoming a cheerleader. And that's when Felicity said, you don't like it when things get out of your control. You just quit them. Because Elena did like a bunch of hobbies, but when things were starting to get out of her control, she just stopped. And that's with Felicity because she wanted to try to grow and try something new. She didn't want to be that quiet girl. She actually wanted to try out to be a cheerleader. And Elena just didn't like that because in her mind it was not something she could control. And that's why Felicity kind of just broke off because Elena started accusing her of things. And that's when you realize that same thing about Robbie and her sister. She's just like afraid that every time something happens, she loses control. And this is like the only way how she can control. And this also happens because Jackson and his mom got a promotion, but she's got to leave the state, go somewhere else. And again, it's like things that Elena thought she can hold on to, it's like slipping, so she automatically just like cuts off. And Felicity kind of points that out to Elena, and so she does go to apologize to Robbie, saying she was in the wrong and stuff, so they kind of do make up. And that's when Robbie decides, he tells Hanbin he doesn't want to continue with this, and Hanbin's saying, you know, that means that I'm not going to push your solo debut to the company. And Robbie makes good with that. He's like, then that's what it is. And Hanbin's like, okay, he doesn't push it, anything. And this is how I see that Hanbin really does care about the boys, especially Robbie. So he's like, cool, I'll go with the plan. It was always your call, so I'll just do that. Robbie did invite Elena to K-Fest, so she's like having like a clothing meltdown, like, what do I wear? And even Josie and Su Yan are texting like, yeah, we might need to fix that. And we do see another thing with Ethan, because again, I like how these little interactions are with Ethan and Elena, and you can see the divide, and you can see sometimes when Ethan wants to cross over, but Elena keeps putting up a wall defensive that she kind of built over time. Again, the fact that she was kind of left out, kind of the forgotten child, and everything was like so focused on Ethan, and these older sisters are gone. And that's because Ethan wanted to give her a heads up, saying, you know, that he was taking Felicity to prom. And of course, her and Felicity have been making up with some things, especially with them on the prom committee, but she does get that defensive again, and she kind of lashes out at Ethan. He actually tried to talk with her, but in return, she got, again, defensive. He got defensive, and that conversation didn't go well. But that also shows a little whisper in the back of the mind where Elena was telling herself that her and Felicity were getting along, but then again, defensive, can't control, and that's why she lashed out. And again, this is the same time where we find out that Jackson and his mom's gonna be moving. Again, thinking in the back of her mind, it's a good thing, lashed out because she can't control it. It does resolve itself because she does talk it out with Tia, Jackson's mom, after an incident that happened, and they do manage to reconcile and everything. And she did say, you know, she will keep in contact. Jackson really, really loves you. And that's when Elena tries to work through that process. It is K-Fest, people. Again, I wish we could have seen more of it because it was like an in and out kind of thing. But it's this big thing. All these band members from other bands and artists are there. And Elena's like, wow, the boys are ready to perform. Su Yan is there for support before she's got to go on. And the guys do go on. Elena's standing next to Hanmin because she did get the VIP backstage pass. So she's like, yay! And they do their music video. They do their performance. The crowds are cheering, woo! And then, of course, the bandmates do say, hey, do you want us to recreate that? And the fans are like, yay! And instead of pointing to a girl in the crowd, they go to the backstage and pull Elena out. And like, I don't want to go on there. But Elena does go. She actually, again, does have a little fun. She spices things up. Robbie's having fun. Everyone's loving it. We're all cool, having awesome. Even Hanbin's like, it's like, did you ever think of acting? She's like, no, I just had some fun. It's like, I see potential. It's like, no, Hanbin, stay back. And he says that because of Elena, he's noticed that Robbie's actually came out of his shell because, again, he started in the industry really, really young, and he really didn't know how to say no. He's really quiet in a way. But ever since Elena was reintroduced into his life, he's actually been more authoritative, like standing firm on what he wants. Like, that's kind of good for Robbie. It's like it's helping him grow up. And that's where we have like a slight little conflict because during intermission, Soo-yin and Jongdae did go somewhere to hide, and they decided to go up, on the little rafters, slightly secure, but just, they're in a relationship. But Soo-yin did get a little scared, and Jongdae just did try to make sure she's safe, but something happened where he kind of fell, and the lift thing kind of fell on him. He's fine. They went to the hospital, but Soo-yin was really, really felt guilty about it, and so Elena's like, I'll drive you there because I did come in my own car. She's like, well, what about the managers and stuff? She's like, we just won't tell them. And she even did a little Pink Panther. They snuck out past the fans into the parking lot. She's like, you should be a manager because you know how to handle these things. And we see Elena's manager skills in action when they do get to the hospital, because she actually passes Soo-yin off as Jongdae's translator, because she's like, he's from Korea, he doesn't understand much English. She's his translator. She really needs to be there to speak and communicate for him. And the nurse is like, okay. And Soo-yin's like, and she's like, and some of the fans did find out. They're in the reception waiting area. Very nice. They're being very on their well behavior. The band members are somewhere in the hospital, and while Elena's texting Robbie saying, hey, I'm here, and he's like, cool, I'll find you later, the nurse is saying because everything's going good, Jongdae is fine, you can actually sneak back in the bag and say hi, being really nice. And Elena's like, cool, I'll just be there to support Soo-yin and Jongdae. And she does go into the back. She does start learning some of her Korean, so she's able to hear a little bit of the conversation before Jongdae and Soo-yin do translate back to English. But that's where she finds out about the dating plan, and you're like, oh no, oh, the K-drama moments. So Elena, understandably, has a little panic moment. She does try to leave the hospital. Robbie does find her. She does confront him, and he's like, yeah, this was to help Jongdae and Soo-yin. You know how much I love my cousin, and you know how much Soo-yin really likes him, but she's really trapped in this contract, so we figured if this could work, there was a possibility that after Soo-yin's contract ended for that clause, they could actually do date. And it did seem really well online and all the stuff, that because people thought we were fake dating, even with all those pictures that we were posting, that it was possible for the band to actually have a dating life without any backlash. And Elena gets mad, and she kind of shouts that out while leaving, and that's when some of the fans are out there with their recordings saying Jongdae is actually dating. So it's like, oh no. And Elena leaves, and that was the little conflict that happened that T was there to comfort for. Elena did use one of her wishes to Robbie, the last one, and that was like, just stay away. I wish that never happened, and it's kind of a sad moment and everything. And the next day did happen. Elena's like in her little funk. Her mom's not pushing, but the internet was really, really nice to Jongdae and Soo-yin, and people were like, hey, focus. We don't need the drama right now. Y'all little fangirls, sit. We want to make sure Jongdae is fine, because he did have an accident. And everyone's like, okay, we'll be on our best behavior. And they were really nice about this, except for the fact that a few days have passed, and Elena wanted to give Soo-yin her outfits back, which she had borrowed for K-Fest. But Soo-yin did show up in person, and she said that her contract got terminated. And we're like, oh no. But Soo-yin's like, actually, I feel relieved, so I can actually have more mobility and freedom to do what I wanted to do. So it's like, okay. But she also felt really bad what happened with Elena and Robbie. It's like, maybe we should talk about it. And she's like, I don't want to. She's like, hey, I'm gonna give you some advice that Robbie gave to me that I'm gonna give to you. It's never too late. Promises are really important, and he really did care about you, and the fact that he wanted to stop. So maybe you should just give it a shot. And so Elena was the first to make the move, and she texted Robbie. And so now we're sitting on Robbie trying to get back, which he kind of didn't do. Elena and Ethan did have like a heart-to-heart, saying, well, she was being compared by the family to Ethan. Apparently Ethan was being compared to her at school because they would call her Ethan's sister. Well, Ethan would be called Elena's brother. So apparently they just couldn't communicate because this divide had been built from expectations, but they do wanted to, you know, be cool. They actually did care for each other, and I like that, especially how Ethan convinced Elena's mom that she could go to Seoul for the summer, which she really wanted to do. And it's like, yay, that's great. Prom did come and go. Josie did get asked to prom by Matt, and she kept asking Elena if she wanted to go. She's like, no, I'm cool. And it was the night of prom, and Robbie never got back with her. So it's like a few days after, and they gotta go clean the center, and the door's not opening. And she's like, what's going on? And there's Cora and Tia and Jackson. And like, yeah, we were just setting things up, getting ready. It's like, okay, should clean up. And that's when they came in, and the prom stuff is still set up. Josie was kind of in on this, and there's Robbie. They're singing a song, and it was apparently the song that they had wrote together as children, and he was still working on it, and he had always wanted to present it to her, and he finally did, and he really wanted to reconnect. He was sorry, wanted a do-over. She's like, we can't do a do-over. We've been through so many things, but it's best if we just continue on board with this, what we got. It's like, can I have this belated prom dance? And they have their version of prom, which is really cute and all that stuff. I'm like, cool. They went through a bump, and they're trying to they try to get through their little rough patch. And the book ends 2 weeks into summer vacation. Elena is teaching at one of the schools part-time as a English teacher, you know, helping the elementary, middle school kids that are there for their summer classes to work on their English. She gets to talk to Robbie because, you know, they're in the same city, and it turns out that one of the famous rappers in the Korean music industry, DET, which Elena's like a big fan of, he's starting his own music company, and his first person he signed on with was Soo-Yeon, and the first song that she's gonna do is gonna be a song that she's gonna work with Robbie, who's gonna write and produce it. So he's gonna do what he wanted to do, and we're like, celebration, yay! And Elena's like really happy, and they're gonna go do their summer vacation adventures together. And that's the end of spoilers. Like I said, it was a quick, fast read. I really enjoyed it. It checked off the boxes that I like in K-dramas. I feel like this could be like a 12 to 13 episodes again. But I do really wish that we had more POVs of Robbie. We got like 2 or 3, I believe. But I really wanted to see more of the relationship between him, Jungdae, the bandmates, and Hanbin. Because, again, it sounded like he generally cared for the boys. I really wish we could have felt more with Elena. I could feel that block there, but like, I wanted more from her in a way, especially her relationship with her and Ethan. I did like that. I like the whole circle around kind of thing, how it felt like they didn't really care, but secretly he did want more connection. And he apparently was jealous of Robbie because when they were kids, like, he kind of felt left out, and I wish we could see more of that. It would have been nice to be a little bit thick read to get those extra point of views, but either way, I enjoyed it. It was a fun read. If this was drama, I would read it so much. So if y'all people who like K-dramas that are that little slice of life, childhood friends separated for times of years, coming back together for a promise they made when they were kids, and the little shenanigans that are happening, this is it. It fit that really well, and I enjoyed it very much. And yeah. Once Upon a K-Prom by Cat Cho. 3 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!